Neural selection.
Check one, check one. Oh yeah.
Modules spark like neurons in the creature's living net. Each tier that merges deepens what the hidden layers get. Three of one connection and the architecture grows. Stronger signals travel where the weaker current slows. Natural pressure tests them, drought and hazard red. Artificial choices guide them through the walls that player threads.
The inspector shows the fire pulsing deep inside the code.
Inputs feeding forward what the outputs will unload.
Neural selection.
Watch the layers climb, hidden in the pulsing net. The future is designed from scattered simple modules to a mind that learns and bends.
Selection shapes the architecture
until the new form transcends. Gene vault crystals capture what the best nets have achieved. Prestige particles deliver what the generations need. Competition forges hunters when the energy runs thin. The weak nets fade to nothing while the strong ones integrate within. Player as the gardener prunes and cultivates the line, steering evolution
with a careful guiding mind.
Neural selection. Watch the layers climb, hidden in the pulsing net. The future is designed from scattered simple modules to a mind that learns and bends.
Selection shapes the architecture
until the new form transcends.
See the hidden layers glow and shift beneath the skin. Every merge rewrites the rules of what the creature can begin. Natural selection calls the slow, the blind, the unprepared. Artificial selection chooses which patterns will be spared. Together they are sculpting something greater than the sum. The neural net is growing.
The evolution has begun.
Evolution has begun. Neural selection. Neural selection. Neural selection. Neural selection. Neural selection. Neural selection.
The net evolves tonight.
Okay. Welcome to the game. Behold.
Inspect. Hive relay engaged. Surplus particle magnetized toward the colony deep target. Multiple predators active. The ecosystem enters a danger phase. Link feed event. White energy distributed across the resonance line, operator. The hive speaks as one, signal strength climbing across the resonance web. Colony density update. Population 50, predators 19, average module 0.7. Standing by. View. Acknowledged. Full screen map. Inspect creatures. Top 10/bottom 10 rank lists for extract or ammo factory color.
Okay, well, let me show you what's going on here, everybody. This is a game that I made I'm working on it. If you can hear me, a check 1. Let me explain for you. Let me explain. Behold. Oh yeah. Just watch them for a second, okay? And then I'll show you what's up. Just watch these babies. Watch them. It's been such a long time. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. My God. My God. Look at it. Look at it. It's alive. This is what they put in Neo's belly button in the Matrix. This is the game I've been making for the past couple weeks. Eat, feed, and nurture. Pop. Okay, so let me explain a couple things. I just wanted you to see. So this is the main screen, you see? I've been making it all nice for like desktop, you know? Before we had just this view over here. I'm showing you I've been doing quite a bit. We had this view here, which is for mobile devices. It's currently not optimized for mobile, and it hardly works because the buttons are all weird. I have to reformat it, okay? But I've been working on this full screen view for a bit. Okay, so we have stuff that's sliding away, you know? And this other bar right here for the speed, you see? Different tools and stuff. Now what's going on is they have brains, you see? They have brains. They have a neural net. They have a neural net. And right now my voices are all messed up, so it's kind of unfortunate. I had a bunch of voices that were saved, and now they're all messed up. Now who is it? Is it I think it's gonna be
defensive triumph. The lace closed around the predator. Two creatures held the line. Predator surge warning. Hunting pressure is climbing. The ledger sinks. 500,000 points, a significant milestone. Score milestone reached. 1.00 times 10 to the power of 6 high roller points accumulated. Predator count falling. Hunters down to 48. Colony pressure easing. The weave snapped. Network stress propagating from a torn resonance link. Sparse 12-12-7 brain with Hebbian plasticity, lace neuromodulation, layout-shaped pathways, and soul lineage echoes. Brighter synapses mean reinforced learning. Press V for inner voice narration. Population shift detected. Now 103 entities on lattice. Death soul caught by the lace. Emerald.
Shut up. All right, so we have a neural net here, okay? It has a bunch of inputs, a bunch of outputs. and some middle hidden layer garbage, where it takes some stuff, it processes it, and it says, this is what I should do. And over time, the brain is kept. So this creature here, for example, this creature right here that has a name, Zoros, Generation 2, born in quantum span day 2, kills 1, kids 0, he has 3 mods, 3 tiers, resistant mover, he's primarily a resistant core, he's currently thinking about things, he has an inner voice, has desires, and so forth. You see, he has a very individual neural net versus this guy over here, or this guy over here, or this guy over here. It's all different because they all have different brains. Isn't that interesting? And this learning over time, that's the whole point of this, is to evolve these guys under certain conditions, okay? They have different colors because that's what their modules are comprised of. You see, you got the harvester, communicator, sensor, and mover, and resistant modules that give them different effects. And then based on their overall composition, it changes their core, which then gives them additional effects. Okay, we're tracking the top 10. We're tracking the current alpha. I can control any creature. You can see how there's an associative web around them. If I press the 3 button on PC, you can play this right now, by the way, if you're on PC and you have a web browser. Okay? That guy just died. So we have it where I have this button here, this auto lineage, where it'll automatically hop to this person's next of kin. If they happen to have a baby, then it'll hop to the baby. If it's a predator like this and it kills something, then it'll hop to the baby automatically, and you keep on going down the chain. Yeah, we're stopping that. But you see, based upon the overall position of these modules, see how there's like a blue spot over here, purple at the bottom, that means he has to find a blue creature to his left. And right now, are there any even blue creatures on the map? No. Now, where do the new genes come from? Okay. They're going to come right over here, right when these particles hit the middle. But right now we're running at a very slow speed, and it seems like it's stagnant, but in reality it's just shifting direction. It's in the middle of shifting direction. It spins clockwise and counterclockwise, you see? And it goes around the net, and as it goes through, it hits them, and they eat the particles like Pac-Man. You see? And as they get full enough, they have a baby, which is a clone of themselves plus a small change, but their clone keeps the brain. So the good brains propagate, the bad brains die. Right? Right? Right. And there's a behavior thing going on between the different types of creatures. There's a social dynamic forming between them. Some of them move a lot faster than others. I'm trying to curb their speed because they're anxious. The purple dudes are they're the this is a vortex runner guy because he has 1 million movers inside of him. He has a bunch of the mover node. But right here you have a bunch of stats here, okay? So it's all about earning a bunch of points. And there is a tech tree. I'm going to make it look better, okay? But you see we have a bunch of stuff here that for each class for the modules, it boosts the effect of the modules. The harvester module, the sensor module, like these different colors, you know? Different boosts all the way to a legendary boost at the end, which I'll make better. And we have these different these hybrid specializations based upon a combination of different modules. The guy back there was a vortex runner, you know, and so forth. And there's special boosts just for the vortex runner, and there's a bunch of other boosts as well. So you're earning a bunch of points, and you're converting. So basically, you're getting a score, and based upon your score, you can see up here it says, this is how much dust you get whenever you prestige. Okay? And that's based upon your current score. when you do prestige. All right? So whenever you prestige, whatever your current score is, that gets converted into dust. And then with the dust, you can go to the furnace here and put dust in the furnace to give yourself a boost. Like this. See, but there's also a resource converter here. You can click on the score, the dust, max dust, score, and then score into dust. I'm going to change this design right here. And sacrifice. Now I got a bunch of dust, and I can add the dust, and then add the fuel, and there it is. Boom. And now it's running with a 2500 multiplier. Okay, you see it right here. Each of these are multipliers. This is keeping track of the total population, the total current number of predators, the total number of the average number of modules that each creature has. Okay, and then it's keeping track of the tier of different modules and tier of different creatures. It's based upon their highest tiered module as they combine and recombine and recombine. The modules on their body combine in groups of 3 and then become tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and so forth and so on. And that determines the class and specialization. Their final composition down the line is their overall ratio of their modules, and this provides bonuses for a score multiplier based upon how many of each tier you currently have in the field. And this keeps adding up. You can see 300, 220, whatever, tier 3, 4, 5, all the way to 10. Okay, this is the resource converter. Here's a nice chart thing that works. Sometimes I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't do that when you drag it, keeping track of the population, predators, modules, food, over time you can keep track of that. This keeps track of the current sim time is running really slowly because the default speed here is 0.1 and then 0.25. And then the rest you have to earn, or you have to unlock with crystals. Then there's a music mode here. You have to pay a crystal for 5 minutes of the music mode. You can swap between pruning, replication, and evolution, where each mode has a different song. 2 of them are my songs. One of them is the chili dog song, for now. Okay? And then we have some tools here, but I have to fine tune their use. I haven't used this in forever, so I don't even know if it still works, to be honest. Well, I can't even do it right now because it requires crystals. So there's an energy hazard, which is a red orb, and then I place another one, and it creates this web of pain. But I'll probably fine tune it because it's a good idea. It creates an area where if they pass within the web, they take some damage. Let's go ahead and prestige that. You can see how they're forming. I'm just giving an overview before I actually play the game. You see how there's curvy web lines and straight web lines, and they're forming this nice flower of life formation. And their modules are sort of lining up as they are, and the web is forming between the modules, and they're passing neural information from their environment through the web along with food. So they're passing neural information, so it's an extended brain. Okay? All these values are being passed through the brain, and you can see it like little neurons, okay? I had the AI research different I had it research different things. Okay, these spots right here are honey patches that these guys are laying down. There's different views, and normally I turn that off because it's kind of ugly until I fine tune it, but there's a view thing you could turn off honey. That just means that at a certain point, some of these creatures have the increased desire to drop food off where they are, because the creatures are able to store more food than what they need. And I should probably visualize that as a swarming web around them, but this is all performance cost, all these little particles and everything, believe it or not. You see, but some of them are leaving deposits on the map. Okay, and you can kind of see where the nests are. They end up reproducing and everything. So right now it's daytime. It was nighttime. and they reproduce more in the green spot than the blue spot, and they take pain. Whenever it transitions over, they'll all have to sort of move away, and there's a culling that occurs. You see, there's different types here. This guy is in trouble, you know. He's hunting. He's actually trying to kill somebody. Boom. Boom. So he has made that baby by eating that guy. Okay, we have to make sure that it turns away from being a hunter after a certain time period. So he got angry, he killed somebody, and then replicated himself. And so whenever they get hungry enough, or whenever there's social pressure, they end up going rogue and they become a predator. Okay, so we can center the camera on this guy right here. You see, all this was hard to program in theory to make the camera center, because it kept wanting to move the map and everything. It was such a long, like day-long troubleshooting process to make sure it did this. All these things that you're seeing, the way that it's moving so smoothly and gently and beautifully. Things are sliding around and there's collision on these guys, and they're not just one big pile. Look, the bad case is they all just die, or they don't move, or they're all stacked up in one spot. But here they're clearly behaving slightly differently, and there's some thought in some versus others here. Okay, so I'm trying to explain these dynamics to you. All right, like Chinese checkers. Look at this pack of green. These guys are harvesters. I need to put a tooltip right here that explains more, and a pop-up right here of what they are. See, we have this current system right here, and this is the older game guide, you know, and I have certain things explained, you know, what everything does, and I have a newer game guide, and it's getting better, and I'm trying to improve these things over time, and boom, so this is the older version, isn't it? So let me explain more of what's going on here with the overview here in this view, because you can kind of see everything. This is what the mobile view looks like. If you had a big old tablet, this is what it would look like. And if you had it on a phone, the creature inspector will be stacked underneath, and this would be kind of full screen. But right now the buttons are kind of overlapping and weird, and I have to make sure it's optimized for mobile, and it's not yet. And I'll be doing that within the next couple days, okay? I mean, it was optimized for a bit until I went on this full screen route, and now it's a whole different actual video game all of a sudden, you know? And I have these slide bars that look really nice. But I want to make sure that whatever I do is over there and not over here. So in the full screen view, it has certain features that this screen doesn't have. But I can still show you what's going on, okay? So we have the population parameters, all this stuff. These are all point bonuses, and they all stack up. And right here, it shows the current point total. The current point total. Right here. You see? Sorry, the current multiplier total in that green area. Okay, that's the current multiplier. Trying to get that number all big. But right now, I'm having a problem where I go infinite and everything. Now we have the incubator and the gene vault. And then we have the ammo factory. Okay? And then if you click on a creature, you can extract to egg. And this is where the heart of the game lies for long-term growth. You can see this guy has a brain. And, well, this guy has a name. And he has a brain, you know. And certain values that they've learned over time and things. And so forth. And then its actual shape, you know. The babies of this are going to have its little modules very similar to the... One sec. Okay, I was having a problem with one of my recent updates where my creatures wouldn't respond to my drag and they were going the opposite direction. And that was kind of happening. So it should be all smooth like this. See, I can control this guy by dragging this in front. That's very nice, very nice. And then from here I can enter the squid mode. Okay, and it's really, really cool. It's really organic looking. It's not really a squid anymore. It's like a weird, horrible creature. that forms like it's like a jellyfish, weird, horrible thing. Okay, and look what it's doing with the 10 tendrils. Isn't that awesome? So it actively seeks out these white particles, and within range, it does this horrible War of the Worlds tentacle thing. That it tries to grab the white particles and feed itself until it pops. And then it's also doing the same thing with this arm in the back, where it's trying to target the weakest creature in the area. So it's doing a weird pull check of all the creatures, and it's pulling in whatever is the weakest, and whatever is the weakest within its circle, it breaks down to become modules. And that's what this swarming mass is. And if you let this guy fill to bursting, he will break into two, and then he will just pop, and all those little modules will pop out and become a bunch of babies that are like him. See, there's another one right there, and so forth and so on. But it's a pretty cool little mechanic. It's always grabbing them in, and see, this is the default state, and then I can add the probe, and I can add the tendrils in the back. The tendrils in the back also serve as a means to push creatures off, so it creates a gap, and it's always pulling and pulling and pulling, and because it's pulling and pulling and pulling, it creates like a jet with all these creatures pushing into me, and I end up going that way. So it's a creature that goes in the opposite direction of where it's feeding, because there's so many creatures are trying to push their way in. And I have it where this creature is providing bonuses to the creatures around it, and where, depending on the number of creatures, see, I don't really want it to pop as fast. I want it to pop, but not as fast. And I keep trying to fine-tune this, but I have it where, and there's also a problem where the modules aren't spawning in the right spot, but I have, see, you can kind of see, gently, there's a couple pink particles and colored particles coming off of it, a little bit. I'm supposed to have it where that shed increases based upon how full it's getting. It should always be kind of a nice threshold where it can do this forever as long as there's enough creatures feeding on it, you know? Because this is actually feeding and helping out the colony that is attached to it based upon the lattice. So if it's sharing a lattice with creatures, they get a bonus. They get a reproductive bonus or energy bonus, all kinds of stuff. Okay? So it's in the best benefit to be attached to the hip. And you have these nice structures forming over time. See this nice curvy line, oh yeah, as they work their way around and do their thing. So what you do is you find the best brain. Like, let's say, see how they're kind of moving in the wheel right here? I have it where if creatures are moving next to a relatively stationary lattice that is not their own, that they gain energy. So if there is a smaller moving colony that's moving next to a slower moving colony, they gain energy. Same thing with individual creatures. They do like a little drive-by. Look at this nice module that's forming here, this nice web. And they keep aligning themselves to be in best. See, they keep wiggling and squiggling. And see how it's turning red? These guys are under pressure because they're a bit too close, you know? And the ones that don't win end up eating each other or just dying. I need to make it where they leak more modules when they die. But see, these are pretty high level dudes with this little effect around them. You see? So let's say I like this guy, but see, he costs too much. It costs 7.7 to the 8th exponent to get that guy there. And I'll get that money in just a second, but I like to make sure that we have something in the incubator and the gene vault before I prestige. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do a pure run. Well, let me go ahead and show you the incubator really quick. Here's the incubator. Let me go ahead and get one egg. So I have it where you can get a couple eggs for free. You can get the bottom 2 eggs for free. Or you can extract 2 creatures. You still here with me? Are you still here with me? Check, check, check. Check 1. Check 1. Hmm. Hmm. I guess I'll just restart it on Facebook. I don't know what happened there. I'm explaining stuff to you, baby. Tell them that it's human nature. Why? Soup and doodle doop, baby. And I say, why? Hi and ho and hen and hey now. A zoot and doot and doop, baby. What is going on here? How dare they? Neural selection. Yeah. I gotta reshare this now, people. I'm trying to explain how this game works to you. Like that flower of life right there? Like that? The overlapping circles? If you can see it behind the honey. You see it behind the honey? Alright. We're back in action. Alright, so arrow keys move around. That was hard to do. Okay. You can center on the creature. Trying to explain all that. Now I'm trying to show you how the incubator works and that you're able to purchase the lower 2 eggs for free. Or you can extract the weakest 2 creatures for free. Alright, and I'll show you what that means. So extraction, but you can keep on doing that to filter out the weak. It's one way to really filter out the weak until your egg inventory fills up to 10. And then you go down to the incubator. You can go here, and it says with microscopic text, cycles, cost, score, a bunch of stuff. So basically, you slot one of your creatures here. Alright? But I'm going to choose it from here because it's a better menu. There's an egg inventory menu right there. And now I can just easily hit this button. Ugh. Wait a minute. I have to... Well, it's all messed up. Never mind. I have to fix that since the last update. I have an auto slot button and a quick slot button that shows you... Whatever. These are all small things. But here, what this does is it shows you that you're supposed to use this slot to sell the egg for a crazy amount of money. If you put something in here and then you hit the button after it cycles to sell it, it's better. And that every time that it cycles and increases the egg score by giving it 1 to 3 extra modules. All right, this is important. So every time it cycles, and you can see it cycling, very tiny. I have to make it larger, but I want to, whatever. I'll make it a bit larger. I've been leaning forward. But whenever this fills up, okay, I can choose to cycle it again. And then it shows me how many mods it gained and how much the score has increased for it. And every time I cycle it, it also levels up the slot a little bit. So the slot itself over time gets stronger. And the creature inside gets stronger. So it cycles faster. There's also a perk under the perk tree to make it faster and give you extra bonuses. Okay? And at a certain point, whenever there's enough mods on it or modules on it, you can then prestige it, and it gives it it will erase all of its modules and give it a special core. And then it's keeping track of how often you prestige it, but it costs void hearts, and void hearts are made from crystals, and crystals are made from dust, and dust is made from score. Okay? But I did that because it's a performance thing. You see right now, this guy right here has a certain amount. He has, what, 10 mods. 10 mods. But eventually they're going to have 50 mods. Or 85 mods. And it's going to be a dense buckyball. Like a dense blackberry. A pomegranate full of little nodules floating around. Eating up all the performance. Because you times that by an uncontrolled multiplication. Right now we're doing fine with this multiplication. And they're doing what I want them to do. They're existing in mutual packs of self-feeding until there's a crisis. They're lucky. They're kind of filter feeding in their own existence. Because it's the fertile phase. Okay? And the green food spot gives them enough food to kind of exist. And because they have these honey spots that I hid, that they can kind of exist out here, because some of them of certain types are giving off honey, and then the other types are supporting them. And I'm trying to increase the ways that these guys are mutual toward each other to make it where they need each other without really having to think about it, because it's like a natural web of ecosystem. See, there's some. Oh no! You better get. Oh no! Oh. He's pooping out more. He's pooping out more. And then it can go all the way up to 4x. 4x is hidden behind these music modes you pay a crystal for. But some logic is lost the faster you go. There's increased sacrifices of individual and overall game logic the faster you go, because of the tick rate, and how many things can happen. If it's already slow and weird, at slower rates, kicking it up ain't gonna help. Okay? It's gonna not keep track of things. It's doing a bunch of calculations. So that being said, over here in the incubator, this thing is cooking. And then we have the gene vault. And the gene vault makes it where if you place something in here based upon its composition, like this one has a blue and a green and a purple, and a pop you right there, boom. It says it's Gen 10, 3 mods, Tier 1, whatever. Based upon whatever I slot here, we just get a general score boost. So we're getting a 13,000 score boost that adds up to the other score boosts. So now we're at an exponent 1 here with a score boost. The goal is to have a bunch of different sources of multipliers, and if you put a high level creature into the gene vault, it's another multiplier slot. Then you can upgrade the slot with other features. But the main reason why you put the stuff in the gene vault isn't really for a multiplier. That's just part of it, okay? It's because you see these white particles that spawn around? Every so often, like right there's a special white particle. If that special white particle makes it to the center without hitting one of these things, you see? Standard white particles, when they make it toward the middle, they spawn as random creatures, adding random genes to the pool. You see? If they make it through everything, you see? If they make it through, the lucky few make it through. They're destined to be. Ooh-wee. But every so often there's a shiny white particle like that one. Now, before I had it where we had this jellyfish mode, or squid mode, where... Watch. I just gotta fine-tune the squids. It's too much. So now, it should happen where if a special white particle hits a colony, that happens. And then, I have it where, whenever these jellyfish overlap each other, they emit an ocean of particles as well, and it also includes the special white particles. That if the special white particles hit a lattice, it spawns a jellyfish, or it spawns one of the squids, okay? And the squid seeks to replicate itself. It's like a virus. It latches onto the side of... I just gotta perfect it, because right now it's not ready. It's almost ready. You see, if I take off, so if I control this guy, right, if I control this guy and I turn off the proboscis, oh, those poor suckers, I have to reduce the rate at which it, let me turn off jellyfish. The way at which it pops, and I have to increase its reservoir, because I want it to exist longer and be able to feed a colony passively. But these guys feed it too much, because see how big these guys are getting? They're getting big and juicy. Oh boy. See, I gotta fix that little problem there. They're trying to align on this sucker until bad things happen. These guys are going to fight each other until they steal each other's stuff. I can turn it off. I can go over here and find one. What are you guys doing? Oh no. You see, there's some intelligent behavior going on here between a couple of these guys. I'm going to extract that brain, you see? And I'm going to extract... Oh, good lord. Oh my god. We're entering the normal phase and the normal cycle and the drought cycle with increased hazards, where they're going to have to start moving around a bit. And this colony right here, because they have this dude who is a survivor core with a bunch of resistant modules, it's going to help out the whole crowd. It's going to keep them alive. That's what their purpose is, but they're extra slow. That's what their whole design is, you know? And the resistant core, well, the resistant and the, yeah, you know, they're all the same. This whole batch, they're going to make it. These purple guys might make it because they can move around a bit, but other ones didn't make it through this cycle. But anyways, you put stuff in the gene vault, and if this white particle, like right now, you'll see what happens. Come on, baby, come on! Oh! See, look, see, it's a clone. Another one. See? How that right there is the same pattern as this right here. It creates a clone with a small deviation, like it's a baby. So you're able to choose which ones you really want to... And over time, if they're good enough, they're going to dominate the whole pack. Especially when you prestige, like this. So now, we're going to have a... See, there he is. And he's going to be the current alpha, because he's already generation 10, while these guys are generation 1. So, and in the top 10 list... well, I have to change how the top 10 list is calculated, but it should be them. But in a new era, the new Aeon, whenever you do the prestige thing, see, Gen 12. See? This lineage starts to dominate over others, in theory, if they're good enough. And then you do it again. You fine-tune everything, you choose the best one, you put it in the gene vault for preservation, or you cook it in the incubator for long-term growth, where the more you cook it, the more gens it gets. So it's registered as higher in the top 10 list in theory, and the more modules it gets. And then over time, there's a perk to auto prestige the guy. And then over time, you just get stronger and stronger dudes. But you have to have them out here in the world to keep learning. You have to train them with their new brains. You can't just have them cooking. You got to train them. And then I'm trying to have it where, see, if I have it right here, boom, you're a squid. It's just very nice. It's going to pull stuff into it. 3, you can follow it for a bit. It's going to clear a path in front of it. You know, things are going to want to enter its vicinity. It's pulling, it's nudging, it's testing the strength of its surroundings. It's really a trainer. You could think of this guy as a way to stir the pot and make sure that evolution's happening. If there's a dummy, they're going to go toward this guy, even though it's helpful. It's just, you know, there's a certain observation here. They want to go towards him. But anyways, let me pop that. So we keep on doing this, okay? And right here, I can take some creatures, and I can turn them into ammo, or I can turn them in. I can send them down to the glue factory. And there's 50. And I have it where you could organize it from the bottom 10. So you're choosing the weakest dudes, right? But I have to fine-tune this process here. And it cracks the eggs, and you get the modules out. I had a complicated pachinko machine, and it was nice, but then it got all weird, so I had to fine-tune it. And I'll probably bring it back and do some sort of mini game with it. But this is just the core skeleton of that, where we have it where you got these eggs, and they're one after another, and then cracking them open to get my juice, and it fills up the individual module slots, and they spill over to the other individual slots. Okay? And boom, boom, boom. You know? And whenever they're all filled up, then they prestige and the reservoir increases. And then, with a bunch of money, I'm then able to make special antimatter bullets. Okay. Where I'm specifically killing certain types. Alright, and that's what the ship will be kind of for. To make special antimatter bullets by using a bunch of their module type to then make the bullet that hurts specifically that type. Okay? But I have it where it's expensive. It's going to cost a bunch of score and a bunch of dust and a bunch of modules of each type. And probably something else. Because there's a problem. The problem is getting too much money. I'm trying to make it where you're always trying to dig forward towards something. You know? Let me just pop these guys. So I can break up the crowd here by turning a couple into squids. Because there's a ton of perks here that increase everything, and they all cost crystals. I'm trying to adjust the crystal cost. I'm trying to make different gates where it depends on the Aeon that you're on, because it's keeping track of the Aeon. Voidfold, and now we're in Solara Veil, and now we're in Astra Veil, and now we're in Cryo Bloom, and so forth and so on. Okay, and I'll probably put some sort of randomized effect for these different cycles, where there's a different modifier in the entire cycle that changes things in some degree, because I'm already keeping track of day and night and everything, and the creature is keeping track of what cycle it was born on, and the goal is to keep on training them, because it's really interesting to make a living thing and to see how deep you can get. Eventually it's going to link to another game. Okay? But there's a lot of games out there where you ask, well, what's the point? Okay? And you can ask that question all day long about what's the end goal? What's the end goal of Fallout 76? Once you kill the queen and do it again? What's the end goal of Diablo? Kill her back, you know? And then it's over? You get the points. The goal is to have more things to spend the points on. I'm trying to have 1 million things to spend the points on. And so all of these little things are upgrades to increase your point total. So this is like really an arcade game about like asteroids. So what's the point of asteroids? Shoot the stupid rocks. Game over. You know? What's the point of Breakout? Bounce the thing against the wall over and over again. But what's the point of Tetris? Mash the blocks, and then what happens if you keep going? It gets faster? Get more points? It gets harder? The point is, I'm trying to personally I'm trying to create long-term emergent systems that are really interesting to look at in their behavior and in their overall design of how they shape their colony in mathematical, geometric, beautiful designs, which it's supposed to happen over long term. It's a long-term emergent behavior thing. And especially when you fast, we're playing at 0.1. This is the generation whatever, and over time they should be little creatures. And then we can name them and keep track of them, you know. And then as they increase in scale, we already have this next level ascendant thing, which I might reserve. I have this toggled on and off because it's still an experimental concept. This might be their evolved form, like once they reach a legendary status, or not. And I also have different forms. I have it where it comes out the sides, or I have it where these feelers aren't doing a force feedback or aren't pushing them away, but they're only feeders. I have it where there's a class-specific variant of all these things, and I had it with a toggle, but then I kept on having layered issues where the frame rate was down to hardly anything. It was some weird issue with the code where there's too many checks with every creature, and it wasn't smooth, and I had to go back like a bunch of hours. This happened yesterday. I built a whole nother tree for skill-based effects. Or class-based effects and so forth, but I had to remove it. But it'll come back, and I have lots of big plans. But now I'm going to actually play the game for you. Okay, so let's start over. And well, before I play the game, for some reason the voice here reset, so we have to make sure the voice is good. Okay, so I had all these voices. So
Multiple predators active.
So I have this really interesting and nice narration thing, which has so much code involved because I have it where it's announcing everything contextually, along with what you're looking at in the menus and contextual tutorial stuff and an introduction, but really an overview of what's happening on the field. Okay, with system integrity, with their lattices and lines breaking and forming and a new alpha and so forth. And then I have it where you can click on individual creatures and hear their voice. All right? And you're able to save it, but because I keep having new versions, I'm losing what I saved before, and I had it all customized, and now it's not customized. And there's lots of, based upon your browser, there's lots of interesting voices, and it'll save them. So
test voice for harvester
Bad.
core checking food drive, hazard sense,
Bad.
lace reach, and module
Shut
layout
up.
from this perspective.
OK, test voice for
Oh, bad.
harvester core checking food drive, hazard sense,
Oh,
lace
that is so
reach,
long.
and module layout from this perspective.
Those were both really bad examples. I want you. I want you. I want you. Wait, you? Well,
Furnace ignited. Maximum burn rate achieved. Defensive triumph. The lace closed around the predator. 5 creatures held the line.
is it Roger?
Macroorganism cluster detected. Resistant bloodline stabilizing.
Is it Dustin? I had a really good one. Is it Davis? Is it Lewis? Fine. Well, I know well, Dustin. What about Eric? Let me restart this.
Inspector on Rhine. White relay. Energy redirected to links and allies
Hey, I
instead
found
of
it.
wasted on a full stomach. Predator activity elevated. Watch the lace for hunting pressure. Lace tension critical. Link snapped. Tear scar forming across the resonance line. White particle caught by the resonance web. Link feeding energy into the lace. The hive speaks as one, signal strength climbing across the resonance web. Population shift detected. Now 49 entities on lattice. Death soul caught by the lace, emerald thread drinking the echo and tightening the weave. Acknowledged. Bottom 10 rankings. Acknowledged. Quick resource conversion. Selected Vylara. Generation 3. Thinking, lost the scent. You are steering me. Hunter neutralized by colony lattice. 3 allies fortified, operator. Death certificate filed, Vylara. Emotional damage, minor. Experimental momentum, non-negotiable. Select another creature when ready. Inspector on Corrin. Gen 3, 1 modules at Tier 1. Resistant. Energy 21, 0 kills. Resonance links active on this entity. Selected Draco. Generation 4, 4 modules, Tier 1. Resistant core. Energy 39. Score 5.08 times 10 to the power of 11. Inspector on Nixon. Gen 5, 4 modules at Tier 2.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and so I prestige. So I didn't prestige yet. We're still within the first window, but I immediately put a creature into the incubator and into the gene vault because it gives you a bonus with stuff in there. It doesn't really matter what's in there, so we just got to put something in there. And I got the bottom 2 creatures, and that's all that matters. So within the first prestige, we just got to do a bunch of stuff and earn enough money to then be able to purchase one of these creatures before moving on to put something better in the gene vault. So I put some dust in the furnace based upon converting my existing points right here, score into dust, and then I filled up the thing, and we can keep doing that. Okay. In that window, because you get more. See, right now I have e to the 22nd power, you know, it's. And then I can take all that money and then bada boom. I might want to add a cooldown, otherwise it's exploitive. So now it's 27. You keep on doing this as a mini game until that time is up, because you end up with more points at the end of it. But it doesn't really matter because if you just go ahead and do it, it's just exponential. Okay? And then within this window, like right now, I can quickly, within the last 2 minutes, I can convert that over, right there. And now this next chunk of points I'm going to convert into dust, right? And then take all this dust here and take, well, all of it really, and convert that into crystal. Now we have crystal. Now I'm going to add a bit of a bonus here and there. I'm going to add a bonus here and a bonus here and a bonus here so that we get more of a bonus per slot. I click on the multipliers right here, and I have a button to upgrade all, where it's nice. Okay, until we're out of crystals, and then I'll go ahead and convert the dust right here. We have 1 minute and 33 seconds. Boom, get the furnace going again, and I'll convert right here again into dust, all the dust into crystal. Good, and then I'll go ahead and we'll get ourselves another slot and another slot and another slot and another slot. I just want the top row of each because they cost a lot, 5 to the 6 exponent millions and so forth. So now we look at the top 10 here, and top 10 based upon whatever they are. I just want like one of each type, like a pink one. Here's a pink one. Here's a blue one. Here's a blue one. Here's a blue one. Here's the pink one. And over here, I just want different types. Boom. Extraction. Pretty much anything I get from this era is fine because it's the first era. They're going to be worth more because the game is keeping track of lineages, and if there's a lineage that's linked to an older lineage, it's worth more in the end. And I'm going to try to increase that value. Okay, now the egg inventory is full. We have one last rodeo, 20 seconds. Let's turn all my dust right here into tons and tons. Let's get this thing going and load it up manually, I guess. Okay, right here, this is also what's going to be spawning at the center. As I explained earlier about how the gene vault works, whatever I place here is what's going to be spawning at the middle of the map whenever a special particle makes it through after forever. And then creatures I put over here in the incubator are just going to keep getting better and better over time to then put into the gene vault to improve over time. And you can automate them with the crystal and extend it for 5 minutes. Okay. Extend. You can upgrade the slot and upgrade all slots a bunch of times. So now it's going to be even faster. Whatever's in here. Okay. So now we're kind of safe to prestige, but we can wait around for a second. I like this guy. You see, at this point, I used up all my eggs. I'll delete these last two. So now we have no egg slots or eggs in our slots, okay? And we're looking for a bit. I'm going to try to harvest a couple of the Smarties. Got to find the Smarties. I have to make sure I can still name them and everything. Because not all purple dudes are smart. If we're going to have purple people, they better be smart. Sil 9. Can I name you? No. Not right now. At one point I could, but I lost that feature. Okay, you're fine. Let's see here. These guys are learning quite a bit. I feel like these guys are exposed to nature. Let me look at their brains. They all have similar brains because they're all probably relatives. Let's see, right now we can boost the speed all the way to 0.5. You see? Now things are a bit lively. To 1. To 2. And I'm going to go ahead and take this guy. And I'm going to take this guy. You're a survivor. And then right here, while we're here, I'll go ahead and purchase these other slots. Within the first era, why not? Let's go ahead and get those auto slot buttons work. That's good. Let's get 3 more. I like some diversity in my genes, because the top 10 end up all being the same gene pool. Because they reproduce. You know? Okay, then there's you. See, right now we're in the storm. So I can pay money to do this. It's having a problem. It's having a problem. Hold on. It's having a problem. I have to prestige it. And these modules are too large. Oh no. Whoa. Look, it just broke. It just broke. I gotta fix that. I gotta fix that. Start that back over. That's on the menu. But, Yeah. Yep. You fill the slots, choose the egg before you prestige. There's different ways to enhance it, but it's it's not complete yet. But it's complete enough for me to show you. The last thing I was working on with this sculpt mode and make this look better, where you can move the pieces while it's paused. Because it's really cool. In theory, there's like a whole mini game where you can do this whole thing and line them up based upon how the pieces are. And you're not supposed to rotate them because that's part of their body plan. At first, I was trying to rotate them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not how my game works. You're not supposed to rotate them. You see? You put things kind of where they belong. In theory, I'm trying to have it where you can clear and sort bins. Sorry, up. But it's having a problem where the last thing I was working on was where this isn't clearing as it should, because it's keeping track of some and not others, and that return all. You see, just some and not others, just special ones. I'm trying to make sure it registers these guys properly. I probably have to go back through and redefine the nature of the classes and really make them stand out and all that. It's like a whole situation, and it's evolving. Okay, but here I wanted to have it where you can clear it with a button, so you could then choose an existing template like the Flower of Life, and then see, this is having a problem where it's lowering down. You see that little pattern right there? You see some sort of pattern that can then be shown in the middle that you can barely see because all the pieces are still here, and different patterns, and then to save a pattern and then to modify the pattern over time. If you figure out some really nice dynamic where things can kind of arrange, and then if you are very specific about the see, this right here is different than this, you know what I mean? It would have less gameplay mechanics if, like, for example, right, like that kind of matters a little bit. That's probably the strongest, like right there. And then you have to have a blue one to stabilize it right here, and another blue one like maybe right here. And you can spend a while like messing with this to get it going, even though it wants to be next to a blue core. We don't have a blue core here. We're trying to make sure that they're all kind of within neighborhood, because when I unpause it, in theory, they try to find their alignment within that mess. This guy's kind of the odd duck out. Those guys are having babies. They're sharing energy. Like I had a baby, filled in the gap. And I'll probably add that based upon the neighboring modules in the area. Add an increased chance to give birth with the random module being slightly more likely to be aligned to the module of the neighboring type, but have that be based upon a neuron, to be aware of it and to have the body recognize it, to have it be trained over time, and to have it be a naturally expressive thing. So I'll probably add that, add a whole lot of gameplay, because right now it's not entirely doing that. It's a bit random there, and it would make it where if this guy is accepted into the fold because he has one little module, over time he's going to get infected by having a ton of modules on him. But not really him, his babies, because he's going to die. Perhaps. And you see how there's a remaining life on these guys? Let's not forget that these guys, I've already implemented the old age system, so they have an old age to them. It's just time is running really slowly here. But I have it where every time that they eat food from certain sources, it resets the time a little bit. So that it sort of prevents super long-term population issues, because some of them are dying out. So right now it's nice and stable where it's not that crazy. energy wall system. I have a gun system with extra, or I have a ship system with extra ships that orbit around. I have this weird elastic effect where it doesn't really want to pull and wants to pull with it. You can kind of pull a group. And because of that, if one creature in the colony wants to go somewhere and others don't really have that immediate need, but they are friends with that guy because of long-term association and lattice work, that they'll go along with the ride. So the whole colony will be tugged here and there and have different tendrils, perhaps, seeking out new life. See how this whole cluster is kind of trying to move together? Eventually, you see clusters squidding their way across. And yeah, this wheel within a wheel, yeah, this is sort of winding around itself as it finds its proper alignment. You have that happen more often, and it's just become pretty cool. You have like see how it's pretty geometric and kind of squiggly biggly as it comes across. You hear me, people? Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I have it where you can turn on and off the probes and tendrils, and then I had an extra menu just for the squids and all that. But I'm still trying to perfect all the creature behavior, because those guys are still moving a tiny bit too fast to the point where it feels like they're teleporting. I've been slowing it down, you know, but that's just their behavior. I might try to make the map a little bit larger, but there's performance issues here and there. It's pretty optimized for this setup. I keep fine-tuning it and everything. Those purple dudes really are a menace. Maybe I'll make it where they... I've already tried to slow it down by increasing the energy consumption based upon the speed, and I thought that would slow them down quite a bit, but that might have been with a different update. So, because like I said, I lost a lot of hours of development, so that might have been part of it, slowing them down. That'll be on my little list of things to do. And yeah, I'm about to end this stream because no one wants to say anything. You don't appreciate this awesome garbage. Okay, so I'll catch you later in like another week to show you how things are developing. But this was a lot of work so far, I'm telling you. And it's lots of really interesting and original game elements going on here. And these are really advanced brains. It's super advanced, I'm telling you. The neural net system, and I keep trying to find ways to enhance it. I had to do research on the human brain and animal brains and neural mapping, and our research in that category, and direct brain interfaces, and slime molds, and map solution algorithms, and mathematical spacing algorithms with the flower of life thing, and optimize routes, and to make things nice and efficient. And all these lines are being drawn very smoothly. You know what I mean? These lines are, and look, they're all sending, the lines are sending information back and forth, and they're color coded. And every time that these things appear, well, some of them, yes, whenever a creature dies, and it pulls them in, and it readjusts and realigns the network to push away. Ew, no, gross. You broke the line. Oh my god. It was like an amoeba forcing its way through another one. But I want to make it where, see, it's glowing and enhancing, and I want to make it where the lattice is absorbing energy from these particles, so that a long-term, high-level lattice will feel like it's the shell of an organism, by having an obvious glowing outside because it's absorbing more. And it has I want it to have more structural integrity around the outside of something, because it's already sort of doing that. Yeah, so to explain these, so the orange coral by itself is just the brain, and then the brain has different modules. See, this has an explorer module, and I put something in the I put out a couple charts or something. I don't know. A couple charts. I guess not. Or whatever. Showing how everything works and how the lines work. And I have one here. I'll show you. I've been trying to have this system make these nice documents for me so we can go through it all. If it... right here. I've been doing quite a bit, okay? You know? Like, adding so much, you don't even know. It's ridiculous. All the stuff we're doing now, oh yeah. And what it really means, because there's different core types, and then the tendrils are different colors, and there's different structure. Let's see, I was trying to create these different types of creatures, and a slight modification on the tendril concept. 1 second. This is quite the guide. These different lines between the creatures mean something different. And what's really happening, beyond the color of their module type, to show that it's sending information back and forth, you can see it's repairing, there's stress, feeding, transmitting energy. Okay? That's what the lattice is all about. There's quite a lot of lattice and web and information stuff going on here involving these different colors. It's the harvester, sensor, mover, resistant, explorer, and communicator types. And they're all slightly different, you know. 6 module types orbit each creature, 3 of the same type and tier emerge, and so forth. Harvesters, food intake, con, lower max energy, day green. The blue type. So the color of their core changes based upon their overall composition of how many modules they have. So they change. So the purple one, it's a mover or communicator type that moves faster and does all kinds of garbage and can see further and so forth. And the yellow one as well. That's quite the guide. Good job. Good job, sir. So here, at a certain point, they gain... Well, I mean, whatever. It's gonna... This voice here is explaining stuff the whole time. I'm trying to have it be contextual and everything. But right now, it's complicated. Just know it's complicated. It's gonna be understandable. Don't worry about it. Right. But let's go ahead and start a new game with the voice on for 3 seconds.
Multiple predators active. The ecosystem enters a danger phase. Green soul orb absorbed on a network line. Repro urge and colony food rising, opposing cores pushed aside. Full screen map, operator. Selected Dracker. Generation 3, 1 modules, Tier 1. Sensor core. Energy 35. Score 3597. Lace network size 6, symbiosis Tier 1. Economic threshold crossed. You now hold 100,000 points. Predator count falling. Hunters down to 98. Colony pressure easing. Colony defense successful. Lace...
Okay. I'll explain it to you. Alright? It's just rather complicated that there's many layers going on. And that you don't really have to know about them. And it should be more obvious over time. And that's how games work. A game has a bunch of horrible layers to it. And you could watch a YouTube video about how to play Crimson Desert, for example. Or you can play it forever and learn how to play the game. But if somebody else tried to jump on Crimson Desert at endgame, they say this game is too complicated. Where are the tutorials? you know, because there's a bunch of weird little systems. You have to kind of already know about other video games to understand them. And I just have to have more. I'm trying to have as much information as possible about. So I'm trying to display the neural net here and everything, and what they're attracted toward, and their current thought of what this guy's doing. He's hunting, how much energy they have, okay, and score value, how much life they have, their generation, meaning how many parents they've had, how many kids that they have, how many kills they have, you know, when they were born, specialized sensor. And there is a guide right here, okay, that isn't the best, that I have to make better, that explains some stuff, okay. And then we have, I'm trying to have tooltips as you mouse over stuff a little bit to explain the context. And right here it says prestige, whatever, next cost, whatever. And right here, a little tooltip where it says furnace equals a score and prestige equals points. You know, little bitty tooltips to help you understand module tier upgrades. Tap blah blah to upgrade. You know, and each boost doubles in power, crystal score, whatever. That is counting the module tiers, the average modules, the predators, the population, and you see, it doesn't really matter about their specialization and role. It's just an advanced thing that should become obvious once you start digging through the tech tree, and then you can read it in the tech tree. Okay, and then here we have more information in theory, where as you're reading what the perks do, you learn about the game. And that's kind of how Diablo works. In other games, like once you read what the extra perks do, you learn about synergies that you didn't know existed, and then you learn that's why something exists. And until then, you don't even know why you have a tool. There's many games like, why do I even have this stupid thing? And then way later on down the line, you look at it says, while you have the compass equipped, you get plus whatever percent. Say, oh, that's why the compass exists. You know? So there's a bunch of layered tiers that only unlock in theory once you have prestiged it a bunch of times. And you're going to want a prestige because you want to increase your overall point total, but that also increases the point value of everything. So you want to do as much as possible before you prestige, but you still want to prestige because there's upgrades that are locked behind prestiges. Okay? Like it should say, you know, tier 2 expansion, and then right here, these show, this is going to have a better graphic and a better description per thing. We're just getting the skeleton down right now, okay? It's going to be better. All right? Where these are all the possible hybrid sub-classes, and I want this to be hidden until you've unlocked that thing, and it shows you the potential with a question mark, you know, and like a who's that Pokemon sort of thing, and then I have some sort of graphic depiction of what that thing looks like in theory based upon its behavior, some sort of thing, and a description of how it's supposed to behave and what to look out for a little bit, because I know, you know, that's why the game isn't ready to show people, but the systems work and they mean something. Like the Gloam Choir and the Bloom Keeper, they all mean something, okay? They all mean something. Like all Bloom Keeper hybrid seeds, honey patches when the lace kills predator. So whatever. So if it's in a colony, it'll create more honey patches. If the lattice has killed a predator through pressure, it'll create honey. If you have this guy in the colony, sort of thing, you know, like a long-term sort of growth sort of thing. But it's all based upon those sub-modules. So you're asking about the different cell lines and so forth. The line itself, meaning the gene line, that's like the generation here of where it came from, And I'm trying to have an extra naming system. Like right now, I have a sci-fi name system where it gives them a random name because you're dealing with thousands and thousands of things, you know? And you have to have a system, and there's existing systems. And so it's a sci-fi name generator where they get a really cool name. And I want, see, I have it where it says specialized sensor right here. I want information in their title. So right here it says current alpha, and it's nice right there, then the information. But I want that to be like Corix, son of Flimflam, you know, of the line blah blah, born on Helix Rise, in a nice description with a growing story based upon certain factors. Because see, the lace screams under tension, blah 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 blah. And I have this voice thing, but if it's wrong, if it's too spammy, and if it's saying the wrong thing, it sounds bad. If it's at the right time, it's beautiful, because there's so many voice lines that if it ends up spamming itself in the wrong way.
Inspect creatures. Top 10/bottom 10 rank lists for extract or ammo factory culling.
And I don't
Predator surge warning. Hunting pressure is climbing.
see.
Economic threshold. Thinking, threads hum in agreement. You are steering me.
So, for example, once you have different voices assigned to each of these guys, like, like this.
I want to explore.
Hold on. Not that voice. Not that voice. Give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Oh man, I gotta find two. Well, see, this is all based upon whatever browser you're using and your current session, and then I lost my nice fine-tuned list of awesome little voices. And give me 1 moment, because some of the voices don't work. I gotta have some way to scrub the ones that don't work. You?
So, test voice for communicator core, checking
There you
food
go.
drive, hazard sense, lace reach, and more.
So, if you click on different ones, it should say different things. You know, it should have a different voice. Turn off inner voice.
Thinking the
It should be.
to reproduce. Reproduction will is very high during fertile phase, which is the best breeding window.
You know, so as you're playing the game and as you're clicking on the things, it should be clear of all the different roles because they have different voices. All right. If it's set up correctly. Let's make it, who is this guy? Yeah, it's main narrator voice, main narrator voice, main narrator voice. It's all messed up. So.
Thinking, lost the scent. You are steering me. Score milestone reached. 50,000 high roller points accumulated. Thinking, hunting, you are steering me.
I want to cluster. Social align is very high toward drag 12, explorer, neutral. Good alignment builds resonance arcs that share burden and score.
Yes, I'm trying to have the game tell you what the heck is up through the context of the creatures and their brains, and they can share some known information. I'm trying to have it natural, but this isn't real AI, and it's all programmed. It's just a very long list of things it's reading based upon conditionals, and the code's getting really big because it's just a single HTML file. You know, it's not like some weird, you know.
I want to cluster. Social align is very high toward Myra, communicator, neutral. Good alignment builds resonance arcs that share burden and score.
And I'm trying. See,
Thinking,
it's not
hunting, you are
toggling
steering
correctly.
me.
It's staying on.
Thinking,
It should be.
feasted,
It should be.
turning to the lace, you are steering me.
No, I'm not.
Inner voice terminated. Thornier has left the experiment, tragic, briefly. The protocol continues, operator. The ledger sings. 100,000 points, a significant milestone. Score milestone reached. 500,000 high roller points accumulated. Economic threshold crossed. You now hold 1.00 times 10 to the power of 6 points. Colony defense successful. Lace repelled predator, 3 entities rewarded. Selected Veiler. Generation 7, 7 modules, Tier 2. Communicator core. Energy 22. Score 14,589. Lace network size 4, Symbiosis Tier 1. Defensive triumph. The lace closed around the predator. 5 creatures held the line. Thinking, the lace closed around the hunter, you are steering me. Thinking, hunting, you are steering. Colony defense successful. Lace repelled predator, 6 entities rewarded. Inspector on Valel. Gen 10, 11 modules at Tier 5. Wanderer Elite. Energy 29, 0 kills. Resonance links active on this entity. The run ends in glory. Prestige dust flows into your reserves.
But we're still working on that. I'm trying to have a contextual thing going on here. Yeah, but there's different modules, and they all do different stuff. And then, so the modules do different things. And then once it has enough modules, the core changes color. So that's what it means. It's just because then the core behaves differently a little bit. And then once the core is different, it starts to have different effects on the lattice that it's touching that's specific to that type. And then there's hybrid types where if there's enough high tier modules on the thing, it'll shift, and they're able to shift based upon their composition. And they're able to eat modules that are free floating. And there's different sources of free floating modules. And there's a pain when the lines tear. And there's a comfort when they don't. And there's lots of ways to make it so it's like alive. So I can control one. Before I had it turn into a simple predator like this. And this will automatically hurt those around it. Okay. But now I have it where if I do that around a creature, so if I do this right here, I'm building up a mechanic. Yeah, so with the dialogue, I was trying to have it where I want to, if I'm controlling a creature and it has an inner voice, for it to automatically go back to the narrator, and for the narrator to remark on the death, and to have a semi-ironic scientific comment about it, and to have it not repeat itself, to have it feel natural, you know? Experiments of win some, lose some, or have to crack some eggs to make the cake or the batter or something. That whole thing. I wanted a bunch of those, so it's going to be saying that whenever, if I'm controlling somebody, then it dies. So based upon the lattice, and you see, these guys are a part of it, these guys aren't, you know, and it grows stronger. There's levels to it. It'll get stronger, and like I said, it'll be like an organism. I want it to get crystallized and really powerful. At one point, I was trying to have those jellyfish attach onto the side, sort of like this. See, if I take off that, and then if I take off this, now it's serving as a nice hub without disturbing around too much, and things sort of want to attach onto it because it's beneficial. It's helping out their lattice, but it's also eating them. I was going to slow down how fast it's eating them, and I have to increase how much it's feeding them. Because it's feeding them random modules, so it's going to end up infecting the area with whatever the heck it is. In this case, this guy has nothing. So we don't want a nothing dude. This is a sensor dude. Okay, this is a sensor guy. He has one she has one module type, okay? Which means she should be pushing out extra, in theory, extra sensor modules as he's doing this. But right now it's multicolored, okay? And it's supposed to have it where as things go inside, they slowly shift and become more of its type, with a ratio of it expelling its type or not its type. And then I have a system, see, where I can shoot. See, I'm shooting it out, but it's behaving too well toward the hold on. I'm trying to have it shoot out of me, but it's not shooting out of me the way it should. I want it to be like a actual gun that shoots out of me and everything. So this becomes a new ship, even though I do have a spaceship that shoots bullets and then shoots animated bullets. I want this to like infect things with the modules that it's making. And then I want it to actually be able to produce babies within itself. Maybe a higher tier can do that with another functionality where there's a jellyfish control panel, where it's able to take, because it has its own reservoir right here, you see, and I can have it at any point spawn an extra squid or whatever, because it shows me what's inside of it. But then I wanted to make it where it's not keeping track of everything, because that's too much information to keep track of, and just make a point total based upon the modules that are inside of it. But it is keeping track because you can see them all. You can see them all. It's just at a certain point that becomes too performance draining when you have a screen. So for example, when you have a screen filled with jellyfish, it starts to eat away because there's a mini storm of micro modules inside of each one. So we'll just let them do their thing. And there should be a whole lot of them any second now, because of the system. And we have this energy wall system that lets certain types through and not others. Okay? And there's a lot you can do with that mechanically. Or you can... I have this energy wall where you can draw a bunch of walls and let certain types of creatures through and not others. But it has to get fine-tuned and it's kind of buggy. It's worked before. And you can create boxes for them. You know, where exchange of stuff and not other things. It's really cool. There's lots of potential. And then the goal is to save that to the sculpting screen. See, this is really training them up because there's lots of action going on, and the ones that survive this, you want to save the brain. So it's like a laboratory playground where you can mess with them and then train them and then save the brain. Like that one is still alive. I save the brain, and then we go over here to the gene vault. And then I place the brain here. And now, if one of those white particles makes it to the middle, we're going to have more of that creature by default. But to enhance this whole mix, I want to see that there's so much going on here, and it's so cool. The pattern of the creature and how the modules are around their body is a big deal. It's almost like a molecule, right? But not really. Molecules are pretty basic. See, this one has two, and it can link on left and right. That one's just on the right, this one's just in the back, and they can't rotate. Molecules rotate, and that's not where the particles are. Those are fields of energy with different densities, and represented as particles with atoms. That's not how atoms work, you know? Molecules are that way, and atoms are over here as an entity existing, bound, kind of over here with a certain shape, but the whole thing is rotating through a field and links with something else, and the whole thing is rotating. I guess I can have the whole field rotate, but I don't really want their orientation to be. Maybe they could only gain rotation once. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'll give them rotation once they are part of a high enough tier. Because you can see as they're rotating, because it is rotating, but they are maintaining their alignment. I like that. I like it because it's part of their identity. This is the guy that's shaped like that. That's your face. I don't want your face changing. You know, that's their actual face. It starts to have a character. You start to recognize, oh, look, it's that lineage again. So in terms of like the lineage line is the color and the shape. But the color can change more than the shape. The shape can get more of these little structures to them. You know, and the older structures are going to get larger, but the new ones might start to overshadow the old ones, but if you look hard enough, you can see the old ones in the overall shape. Like its children are going to have that, and its parents had some of this shape going on here. You see, these guys are related because they have a similar shape, and that's pretty cool. Like, these guys are clearly the same family line. Like, they just had babies with a slight change in the position. A slight change in the position. A slight change in what can spawn next. And how many could spawn next. With the squids on, it really keeps it lively and keeps it moving around. But I was sort of reserving that for a higher tier. And even reserving certain things in general. You've unlocked the Harvester tier, you know, to really stretch the game out. Because the point was, in my game testing, I'm hitting infinite values right away. Hitting infinite values and too much money. So I'm trying to gate it and to help the mechanics be understood in general, you know. We could watch one dude for a bit. Let's watch one guy for a bit. You can go, Bosco. You can go, Bosco. You can go, Bosco. Don't you know? You can go, Bosco. Don't you know right now? Oh, now. Look at his babies. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Look at his babies. Don't you know he's dead? Okay. I'm going to make him flash a couple times before dying. So I'm going to make the auto lineage button go on. So if he does have a baby, we'll hop straight to him. So if this guy has a baby before dying and he's not, okay, let's go for you. You're going to have a baby before dying, right? Right? All right, in your old age. You better have a baby. You're going to find food. Okay, this is the new baby right here. This is the new baby. We've already hopped over. You see that one nodule is slightly off. It's a mutation. Mutation! So the placement and orientation of the things create the strength and nature of the network around them. Isn't that cool? And they naturally settle into the system that best moves around energy and maintains them as a colony. Through the hard times and the good. With knowledge spread through the colony. This is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And these red particles are really nice. They go around the vortex and then they change direction halfway through. It's a really cool little changey direction thing. You'll see it happen. And there's some momentum to these suckers. I have to reduce their number too. But if my particles are smart enough, they can avoid it. They slow down time a bit. You better avoid the cataclysm. Every so often you have to have an apocalypse that wipes out the stupid ones. Here it comes. Boom. And it's going to last a bit because we're in the drought right now. Oh no, now we're in the drought. It's going to get worse. So I have to reduce these particles. It's going to get really bad. No one's going to survive. No one's going to survive. And if they do survive, I'm going to, if they can survive the drought. Basically, the only ones that survive are the new ones that are getting born. You see how there's new ones getting born all the time? And then, every so often, a copy clone from the gene vault gets born. And that's how it really works. You're retraining your clone babies, hoping that they get stronger. You don't really want one of the new creatures to join your lineage because they don't have that long-term memory that you've been building up. Okay? You want one of the babies, but you want there to be competition, and maybe this new species of creature that has no historical memory is somehow good because within the environment of these other creatures, they've learned about how to survive faster and better without nasty no information that should have been pruned by now. I have it where if two I have it where if two of those little squid things overlap, see, they really look alive because of how they act. Because I have them seeking out the white particles and then grabbing them automatically with their tendril, and then their probe automatically searches around the front of them for the weakest creature, then pulls them toward it, while at the same time having a high attraction toward the surrounding creatures because they want to eat the modules that are inside of the bubble, but they can't eat it. They just want to. So they're trying to push into me because I appear like I'm a good food source. But at the same time, as creatures enter the proximity, I send out a little, as you can see here, there's a little tendril being shot. There's a little lattice line being shot out within proximity based upon a similarity. This guy's just eating. I also have it where if a creature is in this jellyfish squid mode and they take direct damage, that they pop and they release their modules. So the goal is to make it where there's a bunch of these things and they look a little bit better, and then I have my spaceship come out and then shoot them. And it should be very satisfying. There's a couple bugs here and there. Ooh, see? Ooh. Whenever they do pop due to certain factors, it's satisfying. So if one of these guys survives toward the... Like right now, actually. Like right now. If these guys take damage from the red particle, which should be coming... You know what? I already reduced the red particle amount during the drought, but I didn't reduce it during the normal phase. I wanted the red particles to start appearing toward the end of normal, and then all throughout drought, and then have fertile have no red particles. And the occasional extra white particle and yellow particle. The yellow particles give them random mods on consumption, is the theory. But I wanted to have it like a toggle. Big changes I'm keeping as a toggle. And right now, the last thing I was working on was this, where you can pause the game and then move them around into their perfect little configuration, and then press play and then see how it looks, because it's cool. And then to have it where you can save whatever weave you have, okay, and then to bring it back out as a saved pattern. You know, I don't know. But we're having problems. And then I'm trying to, you know, see, it disappears, and I'm trying to fix a lot of problems here. See, it's kind of working. See, I was able to move those guys into that cluster shape as I wanted. And it's almost there. That's what I was doing last night, but I was getting tired. It's just so satisfying to have things work. So the next time you see my little stream here, you'll see where we are, because, you know, it's pretty good. See, I'll press play here and see they exist, but we're going at a certain speed and they all just ate each other. See, this weird module effect is stuck on the camera. See this right here? These modules are spawning from the jellyfish thing. I have it where they're supposed to shed extra modules, but there's some old weird code and it's stuck to the camera. because the camera was stuck to the map. And I've dislodged the camera from the map, but there's still some residual garbage through these 40,000 lines of code. Yeah, I think I showed you everything. But you keep prestiging and it costs more money, and then you upgrade all this stuff to get more money. It's all about money, 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 to then eventually shoot them to make them worth a lot of money. You know, like the whole goal is to have it be like Space Invaders or asteroids, where you're shooting the asteroids, but they're worth a lot of money because you made them. But in the end, what is the point for? Like, you're playing some game for extra points, but then what? So you're playing Pac-Man for what reason? To get the highest score, and then what? Do you buy a Pac-Man house? You know, do you stop the ghosts? No, it gets harder. It gets harder and harder. Here, you can't really make it harder without making the game run like garbage. Okay? I guess there should be some major reward for surviving certain events or aeons or... I keep brainstorming, and it's going to work out. The game is keeping track of these aeons, and they have really interesting sci-fi names. Solara Drift, right? And Nebula Crown, and whatever, okay? And sort of like in the three-body problem, based upon... Oh, that's what... Ooh! Yeah! Problem solved. I'm going to have a three-body problem simulation running that you could look at any given time to see where this system is within this horrible three bodies thing. So you can't really predict how it's going to, where the planet is going to end up or whatever the heck within the three body system to determine the overall conditions. We already have these two nodes here. I can probably add a third one. I'll try and add a sense of depth by having weird squid tails drift off into the background to make it seem like you're in some weird vortex thing, but we could go even deeper here and have it seem like you're next to one of three distant stars and you're getting... Oh, we're doing it. Okay, I'm going to end the stream right now and I'll catch you later. I got to act on the inspiration. It's going to be good. You're near one of three, or even all three, and it sucks. Distant stars, and you see them pulsating, and you're getting stuff from them, and it sucks. Or it could be good, and the fertile, normal, or drought is really based upon the position of the stars in the three-body system, and there's a slight prediction based upon the Aeon cycle, and that you can have this weird calculator thing to calculating probability of next cycle. And then you can prepare for it, you know? And then the calculation could be wrong because of the three-body problem. But it's not really calculated, you see? It's a simulated calculation. It's a cheat. It's not really calculating. It's a pre-run simulation of a three-body problem that already knows how it's going to be going. But then the replayability, you would know. Say, hold on, this is the same exact cycle as last time. It only works if you only play it one time. It seems like these cycles are so crazy and random. Anyways, there's lots of potential here. But that's a really cool effect. As a performance thing, I had a compromise. having a compromise where it was just a cloud of dust, a cloud that was a different size. And I'm telling you, these, like right here, these things are so cool. If I could just control them without... Stop it. Stop. 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 No. See, that's part of it. Surviving these dudes that want to eat. See, I realized at one point that, hold on, it's kind of a game to even survive as a squid. If I want to, so for example, if I really want to propagate these red genes, I become a squid. Well, it's messed up. Hold on. I become a squiddy poo. I'm calling it a squid. And then we can move through and press the F button to go faster. It needs to be faster than that based upon the overall composition. And now, oh my gosh, they're coming! Because they want to, they're trying to eat of the nublins, but then they end up, hold on. Let's see this fruit scratch. See, because we have that creature in the gene vault, it's able to pop out right away. And then, see, this guy right here is generation 1, but this one over here is generation 4 already. We already have some squids out. This one clearly has a whole lot of green going on. Oh my gosh. I want you. Where are you? Then I have it where once they do pop, they release a ton of particles. And right here is too many particles. I have it where once they pop, they release just this ocean of, like this right here, this ocean of particles. And then I wanted to have it hit other weaves as it makes its way toward the center. And then to improve and crystallize other weaves around it as it goes through. What I wanted. But there's some jerky motion going on, so I turned it off by default. Because it's pretty smooth without that. You know? And there's a problem down here. Yeah, they're getting stuck at the bottom. And then I can't move them. This was a recent issue I was trying to fix. Yeah. Yeah, this was a recent issue. It has to do with the sculpt, I think. There's lots of things, but I've already come this far, and it's been incremental, and we've come a long way. Then I have this extra currency called sovereigns we're not using yet, you know, just to have a placeholder for it. And I really want this perk tree to look better, and I have to improve the ammo factory and all that. And I have to really work on the economy. It's getting better quite a bit, because before I was making way too much money right away with all these multipliers, and it's still a bit too easy. So I have to make thresholds where, as I'm upgrading all, like every 5 levels or so, you have to increase the prestige. You have to be prestige level 2 or above or something for this level. So it forced you to go deeper, but you're penalized because the previous tier stuff is now more expensive. There you go. That's a very simple concept, as opposed to saying, oh no, things are more expensive as you go, so buy it now. In reality, the more expensive things are unlocked by playing longer, by digging deeper in prestige. Okay? And what happens is, whenever you prestige, the minimum value of what exists now matches the current prestige. Okay? So if there's different candy bars are being sold at different prestiges, in theory, you have Hershey's bar, then you have a Butterfinger, and then you have a Zagnut bar. And the Butterfinger and the Zagnut bar aren't available until Prestige 2 and 3, okay? And that the normal chocolate bar is worth $1. You buy a bunch of the chocolate bars right now, because by the time you hit Prestige 3, those chocolate bars are going to be $3 each. Because the $3 chocolate bar is available in Prestige 3, then everything below it becomes $3. So both the Butterfinger and the whatever become $3. You know? So there's some sort of bonus or something that you have to require some cutoff of prestige. It's going to push up the lower value quite a bit for similar items across the board. So you want to do what you can. And it has to be kind of obvious. I want it to be obvious with, like, you know, glowing. See, this is kind of glowing right here. This pulsing thing. And there's kind of a lip right here. You can kind of see it. These quality of life and user interface things, I want this to be better, of course, but you just click it, maximize it, and then convert your score into dust, and then choose an amount. Well, you can't see behind my camera, but whatever. Choose an amount and whatever. The furnace, I was trying to have it next to the score, and have this multiplier here, so it's kind of adding up here and adding up here. So it's kind of obvious, like all of these are adding up. Like all these multipliers are adding up together to then become this multiplier right here, and that is adding up with these multiplier right here, along with see, this lists the vault multiplier plus. Now it lists the furnace multiplier and if I don't know. They even have a multiplier. The incubator multiplier, you see? Those are listed right there along with it, and this number right here gets really big to the point where it's already, 18 numbers or 18 zeros. It's already a big number here, and it builds up right away. It's like 20 million right there. And then, in theory, at any point you can, I was trying to make it where if you want to sell an egg, you do it at the incubator. But you have to wait until it cycles. But then, this is also to upgrade the egg. And then you use the gene vault to then have that specific gene appear in the next prestige. To carry a gene line through the prestige. And have everything be upgradable. And these upgrades are pretty cool. If I can do it. Let's see here. Let's get the dust in the crystal. So it's like macros. I have to make all this larger. Bonus crystals alongside dust when you prestige. And that keeps perking up. Incubator cycles complete faster. Auto tax income. This is a big one. I might move this around. I have to redesign everything and make it look better, okay? This is just to get the skeleton down. Auto cycling. This helps prevent maxing out your score, because this will automatically take your score and take a certain percentage of it and turn it into dust, and turn dust into crystal, and crystal into void heart, void heart into sovereign. And then it gives you a slider with that. And increase regeneration of these zones here. Sensor modules detect red hazards faster. This needs to go to its own thing. The movers and the resistant and explorer and communicator, they all have their own. So resonance link range increases. So this is sort of a tutorial where you can look to see, oh, that's what communicators do. Is they have their link range is increased, and they send signals. Communicators send signals further, basically, and they help extend network information to make a colony act more like a macroorganism. Wander radius for the explorers, death echo yield, network burden shared across lace links. So this makes it where the resistant guys are really good at helping out a colony, because it makes it where they could live longer and then share whatever they get more. They are forcing the network to share, and they are sharing more. Damage and energy loss and energy gain. All that. And newborns have a chance of extra modules. Saturated creatures relay white. Saturated creatures with 75% extra energy, with more than 75% energy, relay white particles with a wider catch and stronger colony. Die per level. I have to change the terminology here. It's a bit too condensed. Turns surplus energy into lace nutrition. Okay, so it's able to absorb and then spread the energy through the lace a bit better. And more Gene Vault Echo Vortex particles during play. And hybrid creatures gain blah blah blah. We have to fine tune the hybrid creatures. Colony signals go further. That whole thing. And I want these tiered out or blocked out by the prestige level. Global score per gene slot. Fertile phase is longer and better. Normal vortex. Blah blah blah. Auto void heart prestige. So auto prestige creatures are inside the incubator. Ooh, stuff like that. And then all the different module types get their own bonuses. that link down to a final bonus. That is good. And then once all this stuff is upgraded, and I have to make it satisfying by having like an auto buy button, or do you want a button to automatically buy the cheapest thing or the next thing? Or maybe you can queue like these next 3 things that you want to automatically research, or to have like a research tree, like in Civilization or something, where that shows a line and things are linking into each other automatically without you having to purchase the next one. I think I'll do that. Or you have a button at the top, sort of like this right here, where you can purchase as much as you can based upon what's affordable. But it has to be easier and more satisfying and not a burden and not annoying, but still the user needs to be able to go through and claim the reward, cycle again. But then we have this automate for 5 minutes, and then you can automate them all, and then you can see how they're automated right here and all that. Like, this actually looks better on the phone and mobile devices because of how small it is and how close you hold your thing up to your face. And yeah, increases the rate of that. It's a pretty simple idea. You get random modules, but maybe we can tweak. I'll probably have it where you upgrade these slots even more to make it where you can pay some stuff to make the slot have a higher chance of having a specific type of module that it gives the thing, or other factors. And that's the cool part about this whole process. As I'm doing it, I get ideas, I write them down, and then we add those things. And with Grok Build, it was a bit faster and better, where I can, like, while I'm playing, I get some idea to change something about, hey, there's a problem with these guys being all jerky and jittery, and they're going too fast across the map. And I keep playing, and then it says it's done, and then I load in the next one, and that problem is solved within like a couple minutes. It's amazing, and it does all manner of stuff. It pulls up files and things and files and things and things and files and it's amazing. My current method is me saying, I'm having a current problem with my flim flam. Here's the file. Inspect it in detail. With the menu on the right, the labels aren't centered. I want them centered, and to have an extra glowing edge, and to have I want to also multiply the values of this and that, and have a whole new field where it's tracking this whole thing, or whatever. I want to now track this whole thing I wasn't tracking before, and then have an update over here in this menu. That's gonna take a second, maybe, because it can't really see. I have to describe how the thing looks. With Grok, I can take a screenshot or a small video and give it to it and say, do you see how it's misaligned? Fix that. I don't even have to say what's wrong. I can say, you see how it's misaligned, right? Or it's like, increase legibility, make it look better. Make it look better. Make it look really crispy and shiny with a green glowing edge and a gradient, and give it more of a space and make those buttons larger and more legible, and have it come out to the side with the slide out module that has a button and 4 more buttons and over here. And so it's all about being a director, deciding what kind of buttons do you want and where do you want them and what do you want them to do, and what sort of information do you want presented and how do you want it presented, and there's lots of power there and control, and there's lots of information to have them nested and nested and nested and nested, and it could all be all at once, sort of, but I want it to be visible. I don't really, because this could be hidden. This should be like a little button that pops out. I mean, this is hidden with this is the creature inspector, where you can see stuff about the creature, but it's also the creature control panel, But I might move some of these controls down to the bottom and change the user interface temporarily here at the bottom while you're controlling a creature, which I'll probably do. See, this right here used to be a separate area, but now it's integrated into this bar down here at the bottom. You can see it starts to look less like a website, more like an actual game. This looks more like a website with a bunch of modules. This is how it used to look, especially like right this. You see? You got these modules here, or these modals, and a little container, clearly with a boundary, and there's another container, another container, another container, another container, and container, little containers, and over here these little buttons and so forth and so on. They're always visible, and scroll things and whatever options, pop-ups, a bunch of pop-ups, into another thing. You can see behind it. You can drag around. But full screen's better. And then you could even make it more full screen. Ooh. And I have where mouse wheel can zoom in. Zoom in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So nice. You can control them. That was a big deal to be able to control them, because you couldn't always control them. It's sort of a big deal to be able to control it. Understand? In terms of a program. And now you can control them and attack or something. And I turned it into a squid. I wanted to make it where I can leave it as a squid and then click something else. Now we have a squid in the map. And now I can do it again and make... Hold on. Now I can make more than one if it doesn't fill up. You can make more than one and have them do their thing. Oh no. I'm calling it a squid, but it's certainly not a squid. It's more of a jellyfish. I was calling it a squid because of how the tendrils were moving. And because of the squiddy in Matrix, because it's kind of how it was and kind of how it is. Like right now, if I grab this guy and go near these white particles, you can see the... Come on. Come on. Oh my gosh. I have to lower the attraction. Stop living so well. So, these little tentacles are grabbing. Look at that. See, they're reaching out like feelers, and it's really cool. And they're reaching out and they're grabbing the things, and they're grabbing them and pulling them in. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. You know what I mean? And if in theory, if this right here, just imagine I have a big colony and this is glued to the side of it. Okay? It becomes like a feeder for the colony, and that will look so cool. If you could imagine a macroorganism, like a big bloated bacterium thing with a bunch of these like cancer balls on the side with feelers coming out, pulling things into it. And that's how it's supposed to be. And that's how it's going to be if they don't kill each other. Like this right here, he's not killing them. This is a squid. Hold on, it's not a squid. You're a squid. Just stop it. I was going to lower the damage and so forth, and it's almost there. And it'll just be a nice thing. I have to make the attraction a bit more fine-tuned and make it really based upon who this guy is choosing to pull in. He's looking for the weak ones. But it really is just a side thing, the whole squiddy maneuver. It's really just about raising up these brains and making them smarter. And then over time, it's really about to see what happens if you reach generation 3000 through like a smart generation 3. It could be a dumb generation 3000. You know what I mean? Through the incubator, every time that they go through here, like this right here is generation 8 already. You know, I can claim the reward, and I can return to inventory. His name is Caliph, you know, and then I can go back here to the gene vault, and then I can swap this out with Caliph. So now that one that I just boosted up with extra mods on it is there. I should have a lab as well where I'm able to fine-tune the placement of these modules on their bodies. And it should cost a whole lot of money. Maybe the super expensive, whatever, where I can move the modules. And maybe just have it incremental where I want to move this module from the left to the right. It'd be perfect, but this blue thing's on the left-hand side when it should be on the right-hand side to match this weird engine I'm trying to make. Because I'd imagine that there's there is some sort of idealized flow of information between them because of how they operate and their class types and how the web works and how it realigns itself and how movement generates more energy and how they move to realign themselves and have the different speeds and different attractions and their social pressure, and they move based upon the pressure and they try to get to a comfortable position. Because of all that, it could have some amazing effects. So it's about seeing what happens when you get deeper into the thing. I'm trying to add a bunch of nice grease before we get there. Before, it was just a simple idea of making them multiply and then whatever. Alright, well, I'll catch y'all later. Goodbye.